Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Sockbot, and today we're talking about something completely unexpected. Just kidding, we're talking about dreams. You've seen the title, you know where this is going. So, like many of you, I recognize your difficulties and anger at Media Molecule and perhaps Sony for not getting a beta code, because I myself did not get a beta code. That being said, I did sign up 2 other people for the beta who did get beta codes, despite me signing them up after myself and at the same time. And yes, that is frustrating, so I get it. There is a lot of frustration surrounding this beta, and I see that, I acknowledge you. I say this is not a drama channel, but I want you to know that I feel that frustration. That being said, I obviously don't want this video to seem like a bragging sort of video, because I may have not gotten a beta code myself, but maybe one of my roommates did, and maybe I played it for 7 or 8 hours, and have a sort of first impression video to give you about the game. And if anyone from Media Molecule is watching right now, don't pay attention, and if anyone from Sony is watching right now, please don't look around my channel for my PSN because I don't want to be banned forever. So, if you are interested in that sort of thing, again, I don't mean to be bragging or seeming any sort of superficial, like, haha, I got it and you didn't. I really don't want this video to be like that. So if you do feel like that, please, I apologize. I see your anger. I obviously did get lucky enough to have a friend that has a beta code, but I want to talk about it anyways. So if you haven't played it, hopefully you can take some knowledge back from this and continue with my personal excitement for the final game. And now, as I said before, I do have sort of a first impression thing. 7 or 8 hours isn't really enough to get a full view of the game as a whole. That being said, it is enough to get a first impressions, and that's mostly what this is. So I'm going to start off with my first impressions, and by this I mean literally like the first hour or so of playing the game. So beginning off, starting it and seeing through the introduction sequence, and more specifically like the home base and all those sorts of things, there is an incredible amount of polish and finishedness, if that's a word, to this game that I did not expect. Now obviously that's not a dig on Media Molecule as a whole, but I was very surprised for a beta like this, because I've never been involved with one for Media Molecule before, that so much of it felt so finished and so like ready. The voice acting, the graphics, the lack of glitches, I think I only ran into 1 throughout my entire 8 hours of playing, 6 of which was devoted to creation, is truly amazing, and I do praise Media Molecule for that, if not the whole beta release schedule that they gave out. But regardless, it was very impressive, and I want to just very clearly state that. Now, my favorite part about this whole starting area, and it has to do with polish, but it is not polish, has to do with the personality of the entire thing. Again, this is not a dig on Media Molecule, because Media Molecule is known for their very clear personality within their games. You can see it within Little Big Planet for sure. This whole like DIY type aspect where everything kind of seems thrown together but doesn't play like it's thrown together. And that is 100% here, as much as it was in Little Big Planet, as much as it was in Tearaway, it is here in Dreams. And I was worried about that because Dreams seems to be like so much more focused on it as a tool as opposed to it as a game. But that personality that comes with it still being a video game is definitely there, and I'm very happy with that, and thoroughly proud to say that it does not transfer over into the gameplay itself. Like I said, it is there as a feeling, as a style of game, and as a style of gameplay, but it is not there in terms of the issues and the difficulties and the awkwardness that comes with an actual DIY project. Now, I don't want to be completely positive about this because a lot of my videos in the past have mentioned very big and very real fears about this game. Coming from Little Big Planet, where it was 2D and where there was a lot less to worry about if you just wanted to create a simple platformer, this is a big leap forward, which is great in terms of, you know, lacking that ceiling of creativity, but is also difficult for beginners. And I will say that sort of learning curve that I've talked about previously is much greater here than it ever was in Little Big Planet. Honestly, the first 2 hours I spent of create mode were pretty unproductive. I created about one character, and not a character that could actually move or do anything. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, this won't be an issue for anybody that wants to use someone else's character, even a character that's never been used in a level before, to make their own level based around. But yeah, like I said, if you want to create something that's completely new and completely unique, whether it be a first-person shooter or a platformer or anything of the sort, there is a learning curve, and it is much greater than Little Big Planet, and you're going to hit it. You're going to grow, and you're going to gain knowledge fast, but it's going to take longer than it did in Little Big Planet. I think that's just something that is, you know, something I need to say, to be honest. That being said, this isn't entirely bad, because as I've mentioned before, and I hate to repeat myself, but exactly what I thought is what I felt. That learning curve extends far past what it did in Little Big Planet. When I began using the Move controllers, and obviously I used the DualShock itself, and yes, like they said, everything is possible with either set of controllers, the two Move controllers in particular gave me this feeling of, oh my god, I have no idea what I'm doing, but knowing where I am and how fast I advanced within those, 7 or 8 hours, compared to what I see on the actual streams of Media Molecule, the controls, the shortcuts, the menus, the more you learn about them and the more you get used to them and the more dexterous you become with those two controllers, the more skilled you're going to be, obviously, but the extent to that is absolutely ridiculous. I understand now, when I was watching the final stream before Media Molecule released the beta, how he was able to create this enormous infernal temple within the span of an hour, because even though it took me so long to get used to them, I can see myself getting there. Based on how much I've advanced, I can completely see myself getting there, and I am very much not an artist, and I'm very much not the most dexterous person in the world, so I know that I'm not the only one. Now, I mentioned a little bit before about the best things that I'm thoroughly excited for about this game, but in addition to my worries partially being dispelled, partially being confirmed, but not necessarily in a bad way, I mean, I generally think this game is going to be incredible, I wanted to talk specifically about the things that I consider to be totally exciting, the things that thoroughly excited me throughout my time with the game, or of course, like I said, if Media Molecule or Sony is watching this, my friend's time with the game, because I totally didn't use his account to play it. But the polish was fantastic. Further than that, and kind of having to do with the polish, had to do with the tutorials. Now, there weren't as many as I know there are going to be in the final game, but voice-acted and video tutorials for all of the specific aspects of the game. For example, animation and various other things. Animation was the biggest one for me because I played a lot with Little Big Planet, so I understand the logic of the game. But the animation tutorials were fantastic. They taught you about every single type of animation in succession, so it was easy to learn the first one, which kind of, if you hadn't played Little Big Planet before, gave you an idea of how to work through the menus and the like, onto the more difficult ones, which showed you more about keyframes and those types of things that if you are into animation you've heard about before, but if you're not, you probably hadn't. And those worked fantastically. That being said, these tutorials were a little bit limited, and I'm hoping that in the final game we get more directed tutorials where not only do they teach you about animation, but they teach you which aspects of animation and which aspects of logic work together and how they work together to create a character itself. I think that would actually be incredibly beneficial to Media Molecule to put those types of tutorials in this game to really help someone who wants to create a character, who wants to create some scenery, about how to get into that. So these tutorials teach the most basic aspect of the game, which, granted, it can give you everything you need to fully create a character if you understand how those pieces work together. But it is pretty PC, so, take that as you will. Fine for me, because I understand a decent bit about what goes into creating a level, but it might not be for everybody. That being said, again, it was pretty fantastic how all of this worked together to create, well, for the community to create with it, what we saw. If you haven't watched any of the Media Molecule streams recently, please do. I would not watch them if it weren't for this channel though, so I'm not gonna force you to. I will just tell you that it is absolutely incredible what everyone has created. I was blown away by everything that was created in Little Big Planet 1 and how people were able to use those tools. I am further blown away by the amount of creativity and the amount of time and effort that has gone into these levels just during the beta that has created things like, for example, what I consider the most impressive aspect so far, a complete recreation of the PT demo based on Silent Hills. Like, holy hell, it was impressive. There was a full recreation of that demo, which has been taken off the Sony store because Sony hates everybody, and of course that game was cancelled, but it is impressive the extent to which the creator was able to recreate that character's movement, and especially the voice files and the radio files through which you heard everything and the environments themselves. It was just absolutely incredible how close to the original game it was. And that was just a demo. I played so many other levels, and it is just amazing what the community, and not just one person, not just one team, what multiple times I saw were impressive as hell games that people had created only within the span of the past month or so. And a lot of these games I saw were created after only a couple weeks. I am absolutely overjoyed and shocked at how well people have been able to use these tools, and excited for myself. But weirdly enough, though I did not spend a ridiculous amount of time playing online in Little Big Planet, I'm thoroughly excited to find new games and new creators through this game in particular, which is honestly, as a creator myself, not something I ever thought I would be focused on, but after this, it really is. So again, this is just all my first impressions. I'm obviously a fanboy. I think that's pretty clear by the fact that I talk about Media Molecule in such a positive light. I'm not beyond criticism of them. I mean, I will say that the beta was handled pretty terribly, and honestly, the way that they address it on their streams has been kind of funny to watch, but at the same time, slightly insulting, and I'm not sure if that's British humor just going above my head, but it's not great. I will admit that. I'm not going to focus my entire channel on it, I'm not going to make a video about it, but it was frustrating for me. And I can only imagine how frustrating it has been for other people, knowing that everybody else has been playing this but not getting to see anything more themselves, and that's another thing. There's a reason that this video doesn't have any footage over it. I'm frustrated that Media Molecule has, well, purveyed this NDA over everything. I don't believe that Sony really had the option to completely stop anybody from sharing information about this entire thing, because I know that people did that about the beta in Little Big Planet. Was it illegal? I don't know, but it does frustrate me, and I feel like they may have had a better time, you know, asserting their dominance over this game and saying, hey Sony, you better let them share about this because that's what's going to get the word out. Again, I love Media Molecule, I'm a fanboy, I'm excited for the game, but I don't want everyone to think that I'm beyond frustration with everything that's been going on, and I want to be honest about it, because if I'm not, well, I'm going to get more comments saying fanboy, which is totally fine, because that's still true, but we'll try to strike a nice mid-ground. So, if you do like this type of thing, if you like me, you know, reacting to certain things, well, I'm sure there's 1,000 react channels on YouTube, but feel free to stick around and subscribe, or like the video if you're interested. Anyways, I will be back with more of a thorough impression of Dreams soon. I apologize for not posting last week, but I did receive the code, like, on Tuesday, and I normally post on Thursday, so I did not have time to film this video before then. So, please do leave a like down below if you enjoy this. I will speak to you guys very soon. I may still create Little Big Planet for a little bit, because again, not being able to share footage about that makes these videos slightly uninteresting. I hope it was interesting enough to make it to the end though, and if you did, please leave a comment below and say something about my dear friend Egbert. Talk about Egbert if you did watch to the end. That'll let me know that you, my sir, or ma'am, are a good person. God, I'm really bad at outros, aren't I? Well, anyways, if you like this video, again, like I said, like, whatever, do whatever you want. I've said that 5 times. Have a great day. I will talk to you soon about Dreams and Little Big Planet and other things. And I'll talk to you whenever I'm excited about those things again. Alright? Have a good day. Bye, guys. Bye!